Welcome everybody to our community celebration. We're so happy to see everyone's beautiful smiling faces this morning. Thank you for joining us early. This is, gosh, I don't know, Heather, how many years running now have we had this community session? Fifth, probably? Sixth, maybe? We've been doing it for a while now. And we're so happy that we're able to do it again this year, virtually, hopefully next year in person. So thank you all for joining us early. I am, next slide. Next slide. That's me. I'm Gretchen LeGrand. I'm the CEO of Code in the Schools. We are a Baltimore-based nonprofit, and our mission is to expand computer science education opportunities. We focus primarily in Baltimore City on young people, but we also do a ton of professional development. And we work with the wonderful people here to bring that to you. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we have an exciting surprise for everyone this morning. We have a special message from our governor. So take it away.
It's an honor to be joining you virtually for this special event of the Maryland Center for Computing Education. Thank you to all the teachers, district administrators, and supporters here today who have made this program such a great success. Maryland is proud to be the cyber capital of America, with some of the leading cybersecurity institutions and IT industry leaders. The demand for a robust STEM workforce in Maryland has never been higher, which is why the mission of the MCCE is so critical. It's thanks to you and your efforts that our educators are better equipped to prepare young Marylanders for the jobs of the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Hogan. So give yourselves a round of applause. All your good work is being recognized at the highest levels of the state. Pretty exciting. I can just go ahead and continue with the slides here. So we're just going to take a second to kind of explain who we are for those of you who are joining us for the first time maybe this year. I do see a lot of familiar faces, and I love that we get people who return to us every year to do this. But for anybody who's new, just a quick kind of overview. So everything that's happening this summer is sponsored by, coordinated by, ultimately, the Maryland Center for Computing Education, which is an entity that sits at the University of Maryland Systems and administers a large amount of money that Governor Hogan set aside for computer science education, professional development for teachers in Maryland a couple years ago when some legislation was passed. So that's still there, which is super exciting. We still have the opportunity to bring this to you because of that state funding. Maryland is one of the few lucky states to have dedicated state funding for computer science PD, so we're super grateful for that. And we do this all in partnership with Maryland's State Department of Education. So you'll see some names on here. We've got Diana O'Grady-Cunningham and Joelle Bennett, who are from the MCCE. We've got Elisa and Scott, who are from MSDE. And we've all been working together to bring this to you since we finished last summer's PD and started planning this summer's PD. It's a year-round process. The rest of us are some folks from code.org. So code.org has a regional partnership here in the state of Maryland, and that enables us to bring their amazing free curricula, professional development to teachers here in the state, K through 12. So we do computer science fundamentals, computer science discoveries, computer science principles. And next year, if all goes well, we'll also be bringing you the new code.org Computer Science A curriculum. And we do that through our partnership, which is called Maryland Codes. So Maryland Codes is the name of the regional partnership between code.org and the rest of us being Code in the Schools. Code in the Schools, which is the organization I lead, which is the nonprofit dedicated to expanding computer science education. So we're all interrelated. We all work together. We all love each other. one big computer science happy family. But it can be confusing sometimes, but we all work together. So that's all you guys need to know, most importantly. And with that, do we have Pat here? I would like to introduce our special guest today, Pat Young-Pradit, who is the Chief Academic Officer at Code.org. He is a resident of the state of Maryland and was a computer science teacher here for many years. So we're lucky to have him. Pat, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, Gretchen. Good morning, folks. I'm going to share my screen. So whoever, yep, thank you. I'm gonna share my screen in a sec, but I just wanted to say hello. It's great to see everyone. And the presentation that I'm about to give will actually be available to you all. So if you see any slides that you like, any stats that you want to quote yourselves, you're gonna have them in a sec anyway. So let me go ahead and start sharing and get this thing started. One sec. Okay. So the Tour de France just wrapped up, and I'm a cyclist. And actually, I'm a real cyclist because I broke my collarbone about 3 weeks ago and had to have surgery. So I'm a real cyclist now. And if you know anything about the Tour de France and cycling like that, you know that there's a peloton. And the peloton is the main group of cyclists. And they like to huddle together because for aerodynamic savings. And then there's often a breakaway as well. So breakaway is a lead group of cyclists that have broken away from the main body. And when it comes to computer science in the nation, Maryland is definitely in the breakaway group, if not the leader of the breakaway group. And today I'll be talking about why computer science is important, why Maryland is considered a national leader, if not the national leader, and how can we stay in the breakaway and make it to the end. Because the breakaway doesn't mean you won. The breakaway just means you're just leading right now. And a couple reasons why Maryland is in the breakaway when it comes to computer science education in the nation is policy adoption. We're one of the few states, we're only one of 5 states that have actually adopted all 9 of the Code.org advocacy coalition's recommendations around policy, like creating a state plan, having dedicated state computer science supervisors, dedicated funding for PD, et cetera. We actually, and I'm crossing my fingers here, but I think we're actually the #1 state in terms of the percent of high schools offering computer science in the state. That means that computer science is being offered as an option. It's not necessarily mandatory, but any kid in the high school can take it. And so we have about 89% of our high schools, and this is old data from 2019, 2020, not the past school year, but 89% of high schools were offering computer science that year. We're #1 in terms of AP computer science participation, whether it's AP computer science principles or AP computer science A, the 2 AP exams. And we have like hundreds of teachers being PD'd every single year. And that is, those are just a couple of reasons why. And then not to mention, obviously, our state leaders, and I'll be talking about all the variety of state leadership that we have. So this is why we're in the breakaway. But here's the thing, folks. Like I said, if you know, again, the Tour de France, you know that these stages are like hundreds of kilometers, like 200 kilometers, like 6-7 hours of riding. And we have a ways to go. So even though we're in the lead, even though we're in the breakaway, I mean, we have a ways to go until computer science is in all schools. That means high school, middle schools, elementary schools. We have a long way to go until computer science is like a permanent fixture in the K-12 menu. We have a long way to go until we see equal representation and equal performance among student groups. So the title of my presentation today is Will the Breakaway Stick? And there's my email, pat@code.org. Feel free to email me later on if you want to talk. A little bit about me. I taught for 13 years, all in Maryland. Actually 12 years in Maryland, 1 year in Virginia. But the 12 years in Maryland were all in Montgomery County. And this is actually the last class I taught. It was a 7th period AP computer science class, literally like the last class I ever taught. And as you see here, this is like a beautiful representation of what a computer science class should look like. Girls, boys, kids of all different races. This is what we all want. And I taught at Springbrook High School. That was the last school I taught. I taught middle school and high school. And now I work at co.org. And co.org, if you don't know about us, we do a number of things. You know about our curriculum. You know about our professional learning. But did you know that we do a lot of promotion around computer science as well? So not promoting co.org as much as promoting computer science, because our goal is that every school offers computer science so that every kid can take it. We also do a lot of policy work, and that's where I focus most of my effort. And that's why you're going to get a national view of computer science today. And you're going to hear about Maryland compared to other states. So real quick, why is computer science a big deal? I know I don't need to sell you all, so I'm going to go very fast. This is more so like for your benefit if you ever wanted to share the same rationale with other folks. So there's the economic reason. Lots of open jobs, they pay really well, high job satisfaction, and we need to fill them. But did you also know that children who study computer science, they actually perform better in other subjects, excel at problem solving, are more likely to attend college? And there's a recent analysis that showed students who learn programming do better on tests for creativity, math skills, spatial skills, reasoning skills, etc. And I have a link to all those studies that you can access later on. So children do better in school, but they also like computer science a lot. And that's another reason why we should be teaching computer science, because they really enjoy it. It's very engaging. And all you teachers out there, you're the reason why kids like it, because you're giving them projects that are fun, exciting, relevant, rather than just a bunch of like worksheets and stuff. So good job, teachers. Computer science is also important because it's K-12 computer science is important because it's the way that we address some of these diversity issues in the workforce, in the tech workforce in particular. And so we know that if we focus on K-12 computer science, it has longitudinal effects with university CS graduates and eventually the software workforce and the overall tech workforce. And so we know parents really want their kids to learn computer science, but the problem is that most schools still don't teach it. Nationally, 47% of high schools teach computer science. In Maryland, it's 89%, but that's still not 100%. And so there are a number of organizations nationally working on this issue. And so computer science is a really big deal. It's a big deal in Maryland. It's a big deal in the US. So why is Maryland a big deal? Let's talk about that. And I have lots of reasons why Maryland is a big deal. First, starting with the economy. There's about 12,500 open computing jobs in Maryland right now. That's current data. It's 2.6 times the state average demand rate. And these folks make a lot of money. If you had any kids graduate from your class and suddenly make more money than you know what I'm talking about. Why is Maryland a big deal? Policy-wise as well. Like I said, 1 of 5 states with 9 out of 9 policies. The other states are Idaho, Indiana, Arkansas, and Nevada. We're 1 of 3 states with a specific high school credit for computer science. Arkansas and South Carolina actually have full 1-year dedicated computer science graduation requirements. That means every single kid has to take computer science to graduate. In Maryland, we have a computer science, engineering, and technology education credit, where computer science is an option to fulfill that credit, but kids don't have to take computer science to fulfill that credit. We are definitely 1 of the only states with a middle school ESSA requirement, which you're going to hear about later on. It's a computational learning requirement, which is really computational thinking, which is really computer science. And we have $8 million so far in dedicated computer science funding. Now, just to put that in perspective, Florida has put $30 million over the same time period to computer science. They're a little bit bigger. Pennsylvania has put 20 million. New York has put 20 million. These are bigger states, but states that are about the same size, Arkansas, they've put $25 million to computer science over the same time period. So $8 million is wonderful. We're using it really well, but we need to continue that state investment. AP exams. We have actually the highest AP computer science exam participation in the nation per capita. So that's weighted by population. So congratulations, Maryland teachers. We also have the 4th highest percent female exam rate. And actually, of the top 4, they're only really separated like within 1%. So who knows? This next year, we might be number 1 in that as well. We actually have the highest Black female exam pass rate and the 2nd highest Black female participation rate as well. So excellent job, teachers. Access-wise, like I said, we have the highest percentage of high schools offering computer science. And we know from the MCCE dashboard that 1 in 10 students in 2018 were actually enrolled in computer science, like across the state. That's amazing. And then 15% of all graduates in 2018 had actually taken a computer science class within their 4 years. And of those students, 1 in 4 ended up majoring in computer science, which is amazing. Like the connection between taking computer science in high school and majoring in it in college. That type of longitudinal data is very special. No other states have that type of data. Good job, MCCE. And so I talked about why Maryland is a big deal. Let's talk about how Maryland is a big deal. So how did we get to this? Well, let's start off with teachers. So over the last 5 years, over 2,000 K-12 teachers, just like you all on this call, have participated in PD. I know with Maryland Codes, we have over 100 teachers across middle school and high school participating in professional development this year across a number of workshops and a number of districts as well. We have this wonderful CSTA Maryland chapter. And I know that Jen Smith is on the call and she already put that join link. So definitely join if you're not part of the CSTA Maryland. We have our Governor Hogan, who's part of the Governor's K-12 CS partnership, and he kindly shot that video for us. But did you know we have a Deputy Chief of Staff now, Allie Keene, who has been championing computer science for a number of years, and now she's Deputy Chief of Staff. She used to just be the education policy advisor. So we have people in leadership who care about computer science. Additionally, we have the Maryland State Department of Education. Now, anyone from MSDE here, thank you so much. You all don't realize, I work across many departments of education. I know this is live on YouTube, so I can't be too explicit about my love for our Department of Education and how special it is. But we have folks all the way from the level of deputy superintendent and assistant superintendent. I'm sorry if I got I think it's deputy or assistant or associate superintendent. I'm sorry, Carol, Tiara, thank you so much for your leadership over the years and continuing to champion computer science from whatever positions you are at. You don't know, like Tiara Booker-Dwyer has even written some of the framework for for like how we view computer science in the nation. And that was like, what, 5-6 years ago now. So it's wonderful to see her continue in her leadership and continue to promote computer science. But then we have folks like Marquita Friday who've been working on this for years, and Scott Nichols and Elisa. And then we have folks from certification like Kelly Meadows and Rob Eccles, who some of you all don't know as well, but they care about computer science. I routinely talk to them about certification things and throw ideas their way. So there's so many people at MSDE, including the state board, who care about computer science. Thank you so much for your work. You're the reason why Maryland is a big deal. There are nonprofits. We already talked about Gretchen, Kim, Heather, the folks at Maryland Codes and Coded in the Schools. Over the last, 7-8 years, these are the numbers for teachers who've gone through professional development with Code.org, Maryland Codes and Coded in the Schools. And I know that Code in the Schools does even more PD efforts outside of just the summer efforts. Then there's the MCCE. Diane, you already met. Megan, who we have like our own like Dr. Megan Garvin researcher just for Maryland computer science work. Joelle, we have Nancy Shapiro at the USM, and we have Dwayne at the USM and the P20 partnerships. And there's so many other people like Jan Plain, Jen Smith. We all know maybe Marie Desjardins when she was at UMBC, folks who've been championing computer science for a very, very long time. ultimately it becomes a people thing, why Maryland is such a big deal. And so we're very, very lucky to have so many champions in Maryland. So where do we go from here? We'll start off with access. We need to get to all high schools actually teaching computer science. So it's at 89%. We have about 30 to go, maybe 30 or less to go. All middle schools teach computer science. All elementary schools teach computer science. Participation, we need to see representative participation. This is from, I think, last year or 2 years ago. And basically the top bars show demographics in schools teaching APCS, but then it obviously is very different when you look at the kids actually taking APCS exams. So if you just look at African-American students, it's 28% in the schools teaching APCS, but only 13% in terms of taking APCS. So we need to change the participation equation. We need to continue our investment from the state in terms of funding. We need to continue the partnership and leadership from the orgs on the Maryland Center for Computing Education Steering Committee. We need to increase district leadership, more district computer science specialists. I know we have some on the call today. We need to act and continue to act on these district plans. I know that districts have plans, but we need to continue executing on them. And we need continued communication between the state and districts. And in certification, we need to increase the number of computer science certified teachers. A lot of you all are math teachers, science teachers, and that's awesome that you're teaching CS, but we want you to be computer science certified teachers as well. And we need to improve the pathways to certification, including introducing things like innovative things like micro-credentials. We need to reach out to administrators and counselors, and they need to understand that computer science is not a fad, but fundamental. And we need to have explicit outreach and professional learning for them, not just teachers. So that is what I have, folks. And again, I'm going to share my slides in the chat. But Maryland is a big deal. Now you know why it's a big deal, how it's a big deal, and I hope that we continue to be a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I love that we have our very own CS hype man in the state. Thanks for that awesome highlight of how awesome we all are. So next up, we have Diane O'Grady-Cuniff, who's the director for the Maryland Center for Computing Education. Diane, take it away.
Thank you. It's so much fun to get to hear Pat talk without people going, yeah, I know you're from Maryland. All right, we get it. I want a chance to just brag on Maryland without anybody pushing back, because we have an amazing team and we really have, so many of us have been part of this for so many years and have continued with it and are still putting so many hours into it. You can't just do it, you got to sustain it, right? And so many wonderful faces on this call. Appreciate it so much. So yeah, let's go into our slides just to get some background. Gretchen already pointed out how we're part of the university system and that our mission here is to be bringing computer science to not just the K-12 schools, but also for that long-term solution to bring it to our higher education programs. Because as we're advocating for things to give equity of access, we've got to make sure we have a constant flow of teachers who know and understand and love these tools and want to share them with students. And so with our long-term solution to support higher education, we also need to have a long-term solution for having our districts have a plan. And so often it's pointed out, computer science starts out with a few early adopters enthusiastic about trying out a few things. But if the person in 8th grade is doing the same fun and exciting thing that you're doing next year in 9th grade in your computer science class, it gets to be a bit of a problem. So having those district plans, making these cohesive K-12 pathways and building up on skills, it's amazing in schools where the kids start doing things in Scratch Junior and kindergarten, 1st grade. They get to 2nd grade and they're like ready for regular Scratch. Whereas honestly, many of us adults still struggle with getting started with Scratch. But like many things, starting young gets more people on board and helps us build these skills. So we're trying to make these wonderful, wonderful plans. And if you take a look at our newsletter, if you don't get that newsletter from the Maryland Center for Computing Education, and the link will be up here, and read about some of our districts and the leaders that are making a difference, you don't know half the picture. Next slide. Thank you. So the bill that we have, Securing the Future, CS Education for All, is the one that requires that every high school, it sounded like a long way off, but guess what? This is it. This is the year every high school is supposed to have computer science. So we're close to 90%. It depends on what you count as computer science and which courses you count, but ooh, we are right on that edge of 90%. And not only do we have to offer computer science, but we have to make every effort to make sure that it's getting all the way across the board and that we're working towards the equity. So every local school system has a script planning teams, many of whom meet multiple times to figure out what's going on and what the next steps are, how to bring in the community, how to innovate new things. There's just always something new happening here, you know that. Everybody has the challenge of reaching the underrepresented groups in computing, and that's a very diverse group of people that are extra challenging to reach. Our students with disabilities, we do work with our Maryland School for the Blind, and if Gina Fugate's here, we have to appreciate her work amazingly. But I think they're having their conferences this week for the teachers of the blind in computer science. And we're reaching out to any of the other groups that we can. So, you know, think about who's getting left out while we celebrate who we're already including, because we're still not there, as Pat's wonderful Tour de France example, Tour de Maryland. See how far we're going here. Next slide. So if you were in this particular class, you'll recognize which class it was. Anybody? And Teresa asked a good question, you know, what counts as computer science? If you go to the dashboard, and we'll give you a quick look at that, there's actually 3 different definitions we go by depending on whose you want, but they're all pretty close. But keyboarding doesn't count. It's got to be some kind of actual computational thinking in there. So here's our Intro to Cyber class, one of our new offerings for this summer. As you noticed, Governor Hogan has that big emphasis on cybersecurity as the aspect of computer science. But don't forget, in this growing field, there's new aspects popping up all the time. There's data science, there's artificial intelligence, and with over 40 PD sessions and more than 400 teachers coming and signing up and investing their time, we're bringing more and more of what is computer science and what's current to our schools and our kids. Wherever possible, we go out and look for what's good and try to bring it back so that we can use it here. We have people presenting from Carnegie Mellon, University of Chicago, University of Maryland, University of Texas, the National Cryptologic Foundation, Digital Promise. There's great things going on across the country, and we are trying to bring all those things after they've been tested out and tried to Maryland so that we can use the best of the best. At the same time, you're supposed to be certified in an area if you're going to teach it. It's a little bit of a sticky point. It's a process you got to get ready for. That praxis exam is a challenge. So we have our great team here who are working hard to support teachers in Maryland to either get into some of these new master's programs that are showing up so that you can take courses to prepare to teach computer science specifically, or work on passing the praxis exam to add that endorsement on. So those are some of the things that we're all doing right now, and it's part of why we are where we are. We're doing a lot of different things with a lot of people on board. Next slide. So these are some of our higher education partners, and you can see that it covers across the state. This year, the community colleges have joined us, which we are very excited about, creating a bit of a continuity here from some of our TAM teachers who are teaching the future teachers of Maryland in the high schools that might go on to the community colleges and the four-year institutions and then come out and be part of the long-term solution. Deborah, were you going to say something? Okay. I thought I heard from a university partner for a moment there. I was a little confused. But All of these are funded by grants from the state that just go through the Maryland Center for Computing Education. And so it's exciting to see people finding different areas of expertise to support because computing is so diverse. Next slide. All right, so we just want to make sure you've got all the info to connect to more. So if you want to see the recordings from our summits, which we hold every year, you can go to cs4md.com webinar and see all kinds of interesting presentations by Marylanders. If you're one of the teachers and you'd like to work towards getting that CS endorsement, go to cs4md./cert. And middle school teachers, high school teachers, secondary teachers are the ones who should be getting certified. And you can come and do that program 3 times in a row if you want. Some people have. It's just a free support program there. Come and see what you already know. Come back again and learn a little more. Come back the 3rd time and master it. It's all there. It's all free. So we support lots of PD. There's still more things coming up in August and the end of this month. Still time to sign up for a few things left over if you haven't tried. And again, here's the link to get to our newsletter. So if you want to get that monthly update and read about some of the leaders that are making the difference in this state, it is without a doubt a huge team effort with so many people. I appreciate so much. And that's it for me. So Elisa, I believe you are up next to give us our talk about where the State Department of Education is making changes and making a difference.
Yeah, good morning. And thank you all for being here. And I want to reiterate the thanks to the people at the state whom I work closely with, Scott, Marquita, Tierra, Carol Williamson, and our new state superintendent, whom I hope is here and will be an enthusiast for computer science. I also want to thank all of the partners. We have amazing partners, and we know that without MCCE, Maryland Codes, Code.org, Code in the Schools, it would be really impossible to do this work. So thank you to all of those people. And also, I want to also thank, as everybody else has, all of the teachers that have spent their time and their summer and a lot of time during the year thinking about and working to engage our students in computer science. And there are many people on this call who prepared for hours to give what their experience and their knowledge to the other teachers that are here. And so I especially want to thank the facilitators, but we really appreciate the teachers who, after a very, very difficult year, said, sure, I'll sign up for another PD and try to learn something else. And it's been inspiring. I hop in and out of a lot of the professional developments, and the engagement and enthusiasm and real commitment to students is always wonderful to see. If you could go to the next slide, Gretchen. As Pat mentioned, we really want to get computer science on the K-12 menu, and what counts as computer science is largely dictated by our Maryland computer science standards, which actually serve as a model because our state standards are aligned to the national computer science standards, and we have some extra additions in there that we have graded. So every grade, not every grade band has computer science standards. And we, as Governor Hogan talked about, we are especially interested in cybersecurity here. But really these standards guide not only what to teach, but the breadth of computer science and what we feel is important for students to know and understand about this subject that is so integral to their students. Next, and to their students' lives. Thanks. Starting early is really important, and I want to give a shout out to Kathy Benson, who leads the elementary program for MCCE, and for really the state of Maryland. She has a dedicated group of elementary coaches who are, hopefully we're getting one from, at least one from every school district to support, train, be a cheerleader for computer science in elementary school. We know that these standards can be daunting for elementary school teachers. And so we have worked to develop a few resources to support teachers. On the screen, you see the annotations, and I worked with a group of amazing elementary educators from across the state to develop the annotations to help teachers, educators, curriculum writers really understand what these standards mean and how to implement them, how they would look being implemented in a classroom. Kathy has led a group of educators in developing an amazing repository of computer science lessons and other resources called ECSNet, which is now a searchable database and is really a treasure trove of materials for elementary teachers looking to implement computer science, both as a standalone as well as integrated into their other content areas. And I mentioned the coaches who are these, the backbone of our dissemination plan for computer science throughout the state. And we really depend on these people who've taken their time to do extensive professional development and are then hopefully going to turn around and work with other educators in their district. And we know that starting young is really important to having everyone included. So when you're in an elementary school classroom, you're not in a special math class, you're not in an elective, you are in that classroom. And if we expose students to computer science at the young ages, they see themselves as computer scientists. They understand that they can do it. It doesn't matter what they look like, what gender they are, how good in math they are. They see that this is something they can do. Next slide, please. And as we go up through the middle school, as Pat mentioned, we do have that as a requirement for computational learning and thinking at the middle school level. And we're really trying to support the teachers that are teaching that. And what we've realized is some of them are computer science teachers, but many of them teach in other disciplines. And I think what's so exciting is that we see how computer science and computational thinking can be implemented across the curriculum, how it can be called out in so many subjects and allow students to really see how these tools and how these ways of thinking can help them in all their different subject areas. They can visualize data in science. They can look at the impacts of technology in social studies and history classes, and they can tell stories in English language arts, all through using these computational tools and this way of thinking and computer science. We would like them, students, our goal is to get students through middle school so they understand what computer science is and they understand the power of computer science and they can understand the tech world that they are entering into. If you can go the next slide, please. But they can choose to go on to computer science, but even if they don't, we want them to have the tools and to understand how computer science impacts them and impacts their world and how they could use the tools of computer science in literature, in a world language, in the arts. There are so many different ways of using computer science that we want them to know and be familiar with those tools. Of Of course, we would love for them to go on, and there are a number of different ways that they can pursue computer science, continue in high school. As Pat mentioned, there's the tech ed credit, and one of the options now is to take a computer science course. There are standalone elective courses, and there are, of course, the CTE pathway. There's the Cisco networking pathway, there's programming pathway, there's Oracle database management, there's Project Lead the Way, there are the AP computer science pathways, and there's the newest one, the mobile app development pathway. We're also looking into the possibility of data science and some other CTE pathways in computer science. We would love to see more content area integration. We're working on that, especially in, say, digital media, those areas, but there are many, many other ways that computer science can be integrated. There are also the apprenticeship, internship, and dual enrollment options where students already are taking a tremendous number of computer science courses in articulation with their local community colleges, or are going to work in real life work experience environments, and they can get experience and also see if this is something they want to pursue. So that's kind of the big overview from the state. And I just want to, again, appreciate all the support and help that we get from all of the partners, as well as the people at the State Department of Education. And now I will hand it over to Heather.
Thank you so much. And it is so exciting to be able to round us out here with the spirit of gratitude and connection. And just filled with gratitude when you hear all of our speakers. It has been fantastic to think about how far we've come since we first began in March of 2016. It's amazing. And we are just thrilled, and first want to begin with thanking our often unsung heroes, Kim Suter and Joelle Bennett, who have done an amazing job of making tireless hours, countless hours of work to make sure that this summer's amazing array of computer science offerings for Maryland educators is coming to fruition for you this summer. And also thanks to Meg Garvin, who has been an amazing part, and everyone else on this call. It is just fantastic to think about how we are each as unique as our fingerprints, and we are all contributing to making Maryland magnificent when it comes to computer science for all of our students, making it fundamental that students throughout every facet of their education here in our beautiful, wonderful state is able to access computer science as part of their learning journey. And just take a moment to pause and just be filled with that excitement, that gratitude, and that passion, all the things that we have all dedicated to making this happen. It is just such a joy and an honor to be able to be on this live stream together. So wanted to take a moment to also acknowledge that really we have expanded. We have all districts involved. It is so wonderful. We have expanded into non-publics, into all facets of the community in Maryland, and been able to emphasize P20 with higher education focus on teacher prep programs and align student pathways to computing careers. So the infrastructure is truly becoming more than 95. We've got a multi-lane highway going throughout Maryland that really branches throughout all facets of our community. And we are just so excited that we are able to empower everyone to be creators of their digital legacies here in Maryland. It makes it the most wonderful place to learn and grow together. And so we really appreciate that you have come together today, and hope you will continue to be a part of our community and to shout your stories from the rooftops, because we want to make sure everyone knows throughout our state and beyond what things are happening as we work on expanding our computational thinking tools as well as our computer science offerings. And want to make sure that you join CSTA, our wonderful affiliate, so that we can acknowledge them. Yep, thank you for switching to the next slide. And also take a moment to pause this morning and use some of these hashtags, tag someone and give gratitude. So if you can take a moment, you can put it in the chat, you can send an email, send a text, maybe make a phone call when we finish. But please, if you do it on social media, tag us and take a moment to thank a colleague who has been pivotal in your computer science journey, because we always need to remember to thank those who've helped us along the way and continue to pay it forward. And that is what all of CST, all of computer science in Maryland is all about, how to bring the most opportunities and options to everyone we encounter. And this group has been pivotal in that. So please take a moment to thank someone, spread that gratitude, deepen your relationships, and really just continue to grow together and lift each other up as we experience this summer of learning and the year of learning in 2021, 2022. So thank you all, filled with gratitude, and we are happy to send you off into more learning experiences throughout this week. Thank you. Thank you.